How do we take care of just done powdered or shaded eyebrows? So just so that you understand what a powdered or a shaded brow is, it's when your technician has used a little permanent makeup machine, which is similar to a tattoo machine, and she's actually implanted the pigment basically into the dermis of the skin, which is lower than what you see on the surface. Usually the pigment is implanted about 0.5 to 1 millimeters, and therefore you are drawing a lot of body fluid. Don't want to say blood, but body fluid while you're doing the procedure. Therefore, you're going to have a lot more scabbing than you'll have with microbladed brows, which is a paper cut and put in very high into the skin. The pros and the cons of powder brows should have been explained to you, but basically your powder brow will last you much longer than microblading because of the depth that it's implanted. So therefore, you're looking at about 3 to 5 years after your touch-up. Remember, it's a two-phase procedure. I do not guarantee any of my work personally until I've done the second procedure, because that's where the tweaking and adjusting and perfecting comes in. With your powder brow, you're probably going to hate me for a week, because the healing is quite a bit more hectic than your microblading. It's going to look like a really dark, drawn-on brows, purely because of the amount of body fluid that comes to the surface. So just bear in mind, all you're seeing for a week post powder or shaded brows that was done with a machine is pigment, body fluid, and pigment that the skin is going to reject. So you can just imagine, if I say that in about a week, 5 to 7 days is the downtime for powder or shaded brows, those brows are going to be 50% lighter inside the skin, not on top of the skin anymore, and it's going to look very natural and very, very different. So there's no need to stress. Rather just don't look at yourself in the mirror for 7 days, ignore the comments from your husband and your kids, because it is going to settle and you're going to absolutely love it after it's healed. If it's too light or too dark and you haven't had your touch-up yet, anything can be tweaked or adjusted on the touch-up. The reason why I work in 2 sessions is so that I can get that pigment, the perfect shade and the perfect shape for you, and that requires the swelling to come down, to recheck, reshape, and reanalyze the pigment to get it 100% the way we want it. When you have just had just post-shaded or powdered brows, my aftercare is an antiseptic ointment called bacitracin. It does contain sulfur. So if you know that you are allergic to sulfur on an open wound, you will need to get any baby bum or nipple cream. That's the safest thing to use. My favorite is Bepanthen nipple cream. It comes in a tiny little container and it makes a great lip balm once you've healed your permanent makeup. But what you want to do with the bacitracin is you want to treat the powder or shaded brows for 3 days post your treatment with bacitracin. Tiny little smidgets, little bit on each brow every 2 hours, as opposed to a lot 3 times a day. So you want to use your bacitracin for 3 days, and then you want to go over to something more hydrating like a balm or a nipple cream. Again, Bepanthen is my choice. If you lose your little sachets, okay, you've left a salon, you can't find them, you've lost them, just use baby balm or nipple cream, Bepanthen from the word go. Please do not use Vaseline for my pigment specifically. No Vaseline, no Bactroban. Any ointment that contains petroleum will actually draw the pigment out, and yeah, Bactroban also for me does not encourage the pigment to stay really, really well. So the only antiseptic ointment that I highly recommend is bacitracin if you are not allergic to sulfur or zinc. Very, very important with powder brows to not get the area too wet. You want to cleanse your face. If you're not able to use makeup wipes for 5 to 7 days and you need to cleanse, apply the cleanser around the brow area. We don't need any friction on the brow area to encourage the scabs to come off too early. We want the scabbies or the tiny little flakes of ink that's going to come off to come off by itself. If we're going to cause friction and pull them off prematurely, we're going to have big gaps and uneven brows, which can be sorted out. But if the scabs were literally pulled off, there's going to be scar tissue and I won't be able to get any pigment in, and I'll know that you've pulled the scabs off because I can see the scar tissue. So please try and be careful with the brows for 5 to 7 days. Until fully healed and scabbed, you want to stick to your ointment, bacitracin for 3 days, and Bepanthen for the remainder of the time. Other than that, if anything burns, if you apply the bacitracin and it's stinging and burning and it's not calming the brow area down, chances are you're allergic to the sulfur. Take a white cotton pad, remove it gently and carry on with any baby balm or nipple cream. And enjoy your fabulous brows once they're healed.